Hello, my name is Luis Corrado, and my digital short will be on the necessity of awareness for the LGBTQ plus community. Since society is continuously evolving, people often wonder why the LGBTQ plus individuals have such a hard time finding acceptance. The answer to this question is not a simple one, but there are many factors that have caused the community to face discrimination and hate. The unjust treatments towards the LGBTQ plus community has been an ongoing issue for ages, concluding in discrimination, poor mental health, diminished voice, and ability to be acknowledged as a community. The state of Pennsylvania inhabits many members of the LGBTQ plus community, which will benefit from awareness. As an avid supporter of this community, action is required immediately in order to promote positive mental health caused by the unjust and unfair treatment for the members affected of the LGBTQ plus community. The Trevor Project focused on suicide protection and crisis intervention on the LGBTQ plus community. In a survey released to 40,000 LGBTQ plus youth, it found that 40% of respondents seriously considered attempting suicide in the last year. 68% of respondents reported an anxiety disorder. The survey also showed that the LGBTQ plus community, mostly those who are trans or non-binary, attribute mental health decline to discrimination, harassments, threats, or violence they had experienced. Pittsburgh still falls behind on the LGBTQ plus rights and protections. They are going to continue to try to advance and provide resources. Resources around Pittsburgh offer confidential therapy sessions, counseling, suicide prevention services, and more. These organizations are making great strides to help. These organizations are showing the LGBTQ plus community that they are here for them and that they matter in our society, and nothing is ever as bad as it seems. And it is more than okay to get help. And they will be ready when the LGBTQ plus victims are ready for it to heal and to recover. There has been much controversy surrounding the community for decades, whether it's through people saying that homosexuality is a choice or that is a mental illness. The LGBTQ plus community has faced much discrimination. The long history of discrimination has led to poor mental health, diminished voices, and many members of the community not being recognized as an actual community. The fact that the state of Pennsylvania is home to many members of the LGBTQ plus community has led to a larger number of people being affected by the discrimination, and the fact that our society has come a long way in terms of acceptance and tolerance. But there's still much to be done in terms of reducing discrimination. We need to stand up for these members of the LGBTQ plus community, whether we are part of it or not. Otherwise, the hate, conflict, and discrimination against the LGBTQ plus community will continue to persist and result in no positive changes. The PERSAT Center is a resource provided to those who struggle with their sexuality, identity, or gender in any way. They provide specialized services for individuals, families, and groups of people who need assistance in any way they can help. The PERSAT Center provides explanations on how they are able to help different people in different situations. Individual therapy allows the individual to express their concerns to the therapist and get assistance on things such as coming out to a family member, concerns about their gender dysphoria in any manner. They also have addressed that group therapy can be specifically helpful to children who are struggling to come to terms with their sexual identity. Group therapy allows for the individual to gain a sense of security and know they are not alone in their struggles. In the textbook, Local Actions, Melissa Checker and Maggie Fishman, Chapter 4, with the help of David Valentin, share an unfortunate story about a girl named Vienna Fay. She was a transgender woman who was working as a prostitute. She then got transitioning surgery and was ready to become the woman she wanted to be. She found her identity. She was getting her life together by getting a job and supporting her beliefs and identities. Unfortunately, she could not live out her dreams that she created. Vienna Fay was found dead with multiple stab wounds all over her body by the police. She was killed by her neighbor. Her death is one of the many examples of hate crime and violence that the LGBTQ faces. The mayor of Pittsburgh, Bill Peduto, has the idea to construct a new commission of 11 board members that will meet monthly to discuss and provide recommendations to the government on ways the city of Pittsburgh can better itself and be educated on the challenges the LGBTQ plus community faces each day. They would work to start advocacy programs and begin engaging with community regularly to bring more awareness to the LGBT community of Pittsburgh. The LGBTQ plus community has been known to face discrimination not only in the public, but also when they want the provided care mentally and physically for themselves. The Human Rights Campaign says that the LGBTQ plus community fears the discrimination that they face. They will not seek the health care, and when they do seek it, studies show that they aren't treated with respect that they deserve. UPMC believes that it is important to have allies in healthcare for the LGBTQ plus community because in the past, the community has been rejected the physical and mental care they need. More specifically, 1/5 of transgender patients have been denied healthcare. Since they have the fear of being discriminated against and rejected, UPMC wants to have allies in the healthcare system so they know they are welcomed and should seek care before it turns worse. UPMC workers have been provided training on how to assist the LGBTQ plus communities. UPMC is working hard to be an approachable face and want the community to know that they hear them. They know they exist, and they want them to get the care they need. UPMC wants the whole community to know that they are determined to work together and are welcomed when seeking care. The Pittsburgh Public School District says it is committed to supporting transgender students and will not change their non-discrimination policy after the Trump administration rescinded protections for the LGBTQ plus students. The Pittsburgh Public School Board has a policy to make the community feel welcomed, allowing transgender students to use all public facilities, bathrooms, and locker rooms that correspond with their gender identity. They also have faculty use the student's preferred name and pronouns without legal name changing. The school board believes that it is a fundamental right that allows students to live their lives risk-free of bullying and harassment. The school board believes that the policies put in place by the Trump administration is completely marginalizing the LGBTQ plus students, and they will push back on that. The GSA, Gay Straight Alliance, have workshops to discuss more ways to support and help the LGBTQ plus communities. Every student should feel welcomed and included in a safe learning environment. The LGBTQ plus community is a group of individuals who possess a unique set of sexual and gender identities and expressions. The community has long been underrepresented and oppressed. Despite making significant strides towards equality, the LGBTQ plus community has been the subject of numerous forms of discrimination, including hate crimes, sexual assault, and domestic violence. It is extremely useful and essential for all members to be able to understand what such discriminations are so that if they are ever presented with them, they are able to identify and be prepared to get help or deal with the situation at hand. The lack of education regarding sexual and gender identity has left a void of understanding, which is where the bullying, harassment, and discrimination begins. In schools, the place where our minds are molded and our future is determined, this void has allowed for a breeding ground for bullying, harassment, and discrimination of fellow students and teachers who identify as the LGBTQ+. In today's society, accepting the LGBTQ+ community is becoming more and more of the norm. However, many schools across the nation are still facing an issue with bullying and discrimination of members of the community. This is why the school system must take more active roles in stopping bullying and discrimination within the school system. School systems where the teachers believe that the bullying policies were not strict enough experience a much larger amount of bullying towards the students conforming to the LGBTQ+ community. Dating violence is a serious issue in the LGBTQ+ community. The LGBTQ+ community is a marginalized community that is oftentimes mistreated and made to feel as they do not matter. People within the LGBTQ+ community are more likely to be victims of dating violence than the general public. This is due to the fact that the LGBTQ+ community is more likely to live together and be in relationships with each other, therefore making them more vulnerable. So it is important that all the members of this community acknowledge and understand the importance of healthy relationships in order to avoid any possible toxic relationships that could result in violence. Thank you for listening to my digital short video trying to bring awareness to a community that is struggling heavily. The resources portrayed in this video is a great first step in the fight for equality and justice for a community that is just like you and me.